Hey everybody, Nathan Fowkes here. Let's continue our Not Rules series, where we take the good ideas and don't just run with them, but better try and figure out why they're good ideas so we can use them most effectively. So I want to talk portrait composition with you a little bit here. But for those of you who aren't specifically portrait drawers, stick around, because I'm confident you'll find that these ideas can be helpful with any kind of picture that you're creating. Okay, so let's go several years back to Comic-Con, where I was doing a demonstration. Now, I know I look like a complete vision of confidence here, a man who knows exactly what he's doing, but I know you'll be absolutely shocked to find out that I get pretty nervous with demos. I mean, all of these people staring over your shoulder, just ghoulishly wringing their hands, just waiting for you to make a mistake, and they've already typed into their phone to send to all of their friends. It's sad to see a grown man so utterly fail and, their fingers just hovering over the send button. So, oh my gosh, I'm breaking a sweat here, but at the same time, I love this. My day job is as an animation artist. But get me after hours and you'll find me with a stick of charcoal in my hands. So I did what I always do for demos like this. I came up with a plan. So here you can get a better view of the drawing in progress and what our model looked like here. I made a point to sit down with the model ahead of time before the demo officially started and before everyone came around. And I set up the lighting in a way that I thought would give us an engaging image, and I did this little comp because I needed to have an idea where I was going to go with this thing. I mean, look at this guy, he's amazing. Nice guy, really fun to draw, and I had just serious hair envy. So what I came to with this little comp was I really needed to keep us into those engaging qualities, the lighting, the visual activity of the hair. And so I felt like if I really played up the light as you're seeing up on top here, that would really keep us in the face and let us have a good time with the hair. And then a little bit of light in the background here would give a nice silhouette to the shadow side of the hair. And as you can see back here, that's something that didn't really exist in what I was seeing, but rather something that I thought would give me a more engaging portrait. And then this isn't a drawing about shoulders, so I knew I had to soften and lose the edges there so that the portrait was very specific, so that it didn't try and be about everything, which when it comes to composition can very quickly make an image be about nothing. Okay, so on the basis of that plan, if you don't mind me saying so, I was pretty happy with how the portrait turned out. As far as I knew, nobody sent that text to their friends about what a disaster they were expecting to see. We had a pretty good time with this, and then afterwards I had a chance to chat with all of you guys out there, and everyone with their aspirations, and go around to the artist booths, where I absolutely love the hustle of people doing their thing and then so eagerly wanting to get it out there and share it with everybody. So this was my contribution that particular year. And so I want to point out I did my thing with the hair and zeroed in on the lighting in the face. And then I absolutely softened and then lost the right shoulder, which is actually screen left over here, and I completely lost the other shoulder. Because I'll say it one more time, it's not a drawing about shoulders. It's about something else. And I even, in an effort to keep everything under control and have the visual activity of the hair unify with the rest of the image, I have these lines that just continue the hair and just wrap around the image that I hope unify it and keep us in the image. Well, this is why I'm such a fanatic about composition, because it's the core of everything that we do as picture makers. The big challenge with being a picture maker is that in most images we do, they're filled with all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's very difficult to get all of those different and varying elements to feel like they belong together. And so the study of composition is exactly that. How do you get all of these different things to unify in purpose? So if you'll allow me to sneak a teeny tiny commercial in here, because we're hitting key points in this video, but composition is a huge and incredibly important topic. And so along with my classes on Schoolism.com, I have Pictorial Composition, where every week we go through a series of ideas, creative and even sometimes unexpected ways to get all of those elements to come together and unify in purpose for your picture making. And along with my whole series of courses here, for those of you out there who are drawing nuts like I am, I also have a drawing portraits and charcoal course. All of these available for self-study with a very inexpensive subscription, or you can sign up to study with me personally. And by the way, I want to be sure and give credit. This demonstration was done at the booth for the Los Angeles Academy of Figurative Art, LAFA. If you're in the area, they are a fantastic local resource for you. Okay, so back at the ranch, let's jump to this image, because I want to point some specific things out about this. I suppose I have a particular style. As you can tell, I really love swinging the stick of charcoal around and having some fun with it. So for my drawing students, I do not push a specific style. I don't ask them to draw the way that I do. I don't specifically encourage them to do these little charcoal doodads that I like to throw into my drawings. But I've been flattered that a few of them have wanted to give it a try. And looking at their efforts, there's one thing that I've needed to point out. Because style for style's sake, well, it can be a pretty questionable thing. But when style serves the greater purpose of the image, well, that's when a style is effective. And that's what I've tried very hard to do, so that these drawings go beyond just me having a good time with the charcoal. Nobody out there cares if I had a good time with the charcoal, but they do care if the drawing is engaging for them. So with that in mind, here's the why behind the style. So what is this image about? Well, it's about the person, of course. That's all the image is. But can I push it further than that? Well, yeah, because we all are hardwired to go to the eye first, to the face, the expression. And so I'm very intentional to give that a good firm edge, to play that, in this case, against a dark background. Now, there's no rule that you must put a dark background. Rather, it's contrast. You do whatever it takes to create contrast for the focal area of an image. And there's all kinds of different and interesting ways to do that, and that's why I had mentioned my other resources where we discuss those things. But in this case, I have a nice firm edge and a dark against light contrast to make sure that happens. I don't want everyone looking up at the top of the head, so that's a lost edge there. We just let it disappear. And over up on top here, and we can just zoom in for you a bit. Well, this is hair, and we need the quality that will make that read, and so of course it has a soft edge. And then these things that I love to do. Well, my feeling is there's got to be a purpose. And the purpose is the simple long line of it and the visual interest of it acts as a silhouetting and a balancing element, because we're putting such a heavy emphasis over here on the other side. And then, as you can imagine, with the necklace and with the gown that the model was wearing, well, there were all kinds of folds and all kinds of variations, but that's not what my drawing is about. And the moment we start mindlessly copying what we're seeing, rather than deciding what our image is about, that's the moment that we crash and burn. Okay, so I just want a simple silhouette of the body and shoulders so that the image is more about the head and the face. So speaking of balancing, here's more of a quick sketch done in the classroom. And this is another class demonstration, not at Comic-Con, but in the classroom, and everyone's still staring at my shoulder, expecting me to know what I'm doing. And so I've got to draw on my bag of tricks. And my bag of tricks are basic compositional elements. So with this guy, and wanting the quick sketch to have some stability, well, with his head leaning and tipping the way that it was, I really liked that. and yet without spending all the time to really connect his head to his body and get the anatomy and musculature, there was a little bit of an awkwardness to that lean, or at least a feeling of instability. So to give the image a greater sense of structure and balance, as you can see here, I put it into a box, quite literally. And those elements gave a sense of balance and stability. So of course I'm not saying to always or often draw an expressive box around your figure. Of course not. I am saying that balance and stability is one of many useful tools when drawing, especially when you're only focusing on aspects of your subject. So here you see it happening again. And I promise I don't always do this. In fact, I rarely do it, but sometimes it really works. So this one's less about the box and more about the visual balance. With so much visual weight on the left-hand side of the image, I also wanted that lighting to really pop, and so I wanted to put a dark over here to make sure that happened. And then the expression is looking off to the left. And so many things are giving visual weight just to the one side. So you can see that I put this kind of counterweight element over on the other side, so that the image, the portrait, doesn't feel awkward. So with this study, as always, I want us to care about the person. And so if I let that area be visually active, and I'm very careful that the rest of the image is passive, then I'm more likely to get that sense of purpose. So in this one, it was a bit of a dilemma with her so strongly gazing downward. Well, we have a natural tendency to follow a gaze, to look at the eyes and then look wherever the eyes are looking. Well, I didn't want to drop us out of the drawing. And so that's the purpose for all of these radiating lines. Those are not a style, but rather trying to pull us back and hold us in the face. Let's take a quick look at this one, because after all, it's on the title card. But I hope you can see, and I hope it's clear, in the original image and then reinforced by this diagram, that there's some vertical and shape stability in the image, but there's also a little bit of diagonal action moving through the image, making sure that the focus is right there on the eyes. Okay, so you guys have things to do. I do too. So let's just wrap up with these 4 images where I'm very carefully trying to be sure that they're about something, that they have that sense of purpose that brings us into the person, so that they have visual activity, but don't have excesses of style that are secondary to the purposeful quality of the portraits. So I'll just let you guys take a look, and pause the video if you want to and take a look for yourself and break down how those ideas are working. So with every image that you create, be sure to ask yourself, what's the primary purpose of this image? And then make sure that every stroke that you put down serves that sense of purpose. That's the quality of thinking that will get our work to go deeper and to have a greater connection with our audience. So as always, I want to wish all of you the very best and much success with your artwork.